Max Field Hockey heard of a really incredible story of a coach, Tina Edmonds, down in Houston, Texas, and her Texas pride, and the perseverance that Tina showed in bringing up her new indoor facility in Texas, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Great. So why don't you just tell me a little bit about your background in field hockey, how you got involved in the sport, and where it took you?
Yeah, for sure. So I started playing field hockey when I was 8 years old. I grew up in a small town, eastern Pennsylvania called Emmaus. And I did like a youth rec league when I was little until about seventh grade. And then in seventh grade, my middle school and high school team was actually a travel team. In addition, like it was season was school team and then out of season was travel team. So I started playing with them and through high school, I ended up on junior national teams and won a state championship, was an All-American, and ended up going to the University of Maryland to play field hockey.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Maryland was good. I loved Maryland. I had a great experience there. And while at Maryland, we won 2 national championships. And I was also an All-American. So lots of fun.
So how do you end up from Maryland and now in the mecca of field hockey called Texas, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a mecca. It's grown a lot. Definitely not a mecca quite yet. So after I finished my undergrad, I went to graduate school at Springfield College in Massachusetts. And I was studying sports psychology. Up there, it was athletic counseling. And I just kind of wanted a break from field hockey. So I took a sales job at the same time while going to graduate school. And after I did graduate school part-time and did work part-time, like I kind of did both at the same time. And I met my husband that way. And after I was done with my graduate degree and I was just done with that job, I just was looking for a change. And this Texas Pride was for sale in Houston, Texas. So out of a random whim, I was like, well, I'm looking for a change. I was 27 at the time. We were going to get married in the following fall. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go quote unquote buy this club and move to Houston and see what happens.
Paint the picture a little bit about what Houston field hockey looked like. I was kiddingly saying it was the mecca, but when you got there, not much field hockey going on in Texas at the time, right?
No, not at all. And even when I say like I bought the club, it was more of like taking over because there was about 20 kids in the program. When I bought it, I really acquired an email list, some tournament reservations, and a website. Like there wasn't really much here. It was very small. And yeah, I just came down here and gave it a shot. But yes, there's not a lot of hockey in Houston when I moved here.
Gotcha. And tell us a little bit about what does the Texas Pride look like today?
So that was January 2013 when I first moved down here. Today we, like, for example, we have a spring league right now that we provide youth leagues from pre-K kids who are like 4 years old, all the way up through elite travel teams who are U19 players. And we work with over 700 players a year.
Wow. And equally amazing to that growth and your success down there is the story about your facility. And we were really, caught up in the whole, how it came about and the kind of perseverance you had and the trials and tribulations kind of getting to where you are today. Can you share with us a little bit about that journey?
For sure. So in the fall of 2018, me and some other parents in the program, we'd been looking for a facility or a warehouse to purchase or rent and renovate. But in the city of Houston, that's actually very hard. Due to Harvey, which had happened in 2017, a lot of the warehouse space in the city had been taken up for numerous reasons. So in the fall of 2018, we found a warehouse and it was a good price that we could afford, but it was going to take a lot of work to renovate it. So after we went through the process of finding the right thing, making sure it worked with the field space, et cetera, we decided to put an offer on it. And that's where this story gets really fun.
Take us from there.
Okay. So in December of 2018, my realtor, who we just found kind of randomly, we decided to put, I guess in the commercial real estate business, you just put an offer on a building. And when you put an offer on a building, they can put it under contract because you have this financing period. Well, this is where the fun part started, because these realtors that I was working with for the seller refused to take the building off the market. They looked at me at the time. I was, I don't know, in my early 30s, and they were like, "You look like a high school student. You don't really look like this like business person." In addition, when you do, because it was 2018, whenever you do financing for properties, they go back 3 tax years, which for me would have been 2015, 2016, and 2017. And in 2015, I was only 3 years old. So, and we've grown we've doubled almost every year since then.
Gotcha.
So
the
because
financials didn't look like something that they want to take any risk on, right?
Correct. And they didn't think I would follow through with actually acquiring financing.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's fine. Then we will get financing. So, you start the process of going to all the different banks. And while we were going to these banks and going through the process of trying to acquire financing, they kept dangling other companies or other bidders in my face. They'd be like, "Oh, well, this guy came in, he's going to turn the building into a tire business. This guy came in, he's going to turn it into like a landscaping business." Which, as never have done this before, like that was hard.
Sure. A lot of pressure.
Yes. And so we kept going back and forth with these banks, and we had banks who were interested in us and banks who were working through the process, but nothing was set in stone that was like, "We will definitely give you financing." And so I was getting very nervous. It was Christmas, and I was getting very nervous because we desperately needed our own place. And so I decided to, schmooze them in a weird way a little bit by sending the family a Christmas card. The business before was an HVAC business where they made HVAC units. I don't know how, but they'd owned it since the 50s. And so it was a big family business. So I sent the family just a note. It was our Christmas card. It had a picture of all of our players from a prior tournament and just said, "From our family to yours, we're looking for our new home. We hope your building can be it. Merry Christmas. Love, Tina and Texas Pride."
Wow. Wow. Genius, right?
Yeah, I guess genius. So I sent this Christmas card, it was Christmas break, didn't hear anything. Come back after Christmas, and like the realtors are pissed. They're like actually very mad at me because they keep putting pressure on me to find the financing. And they kind of stopped dangling other bidders in front of me. So 2 months later, literally 2 months later, I finally get the financing and show the proof of it. And I submit it, and they still wouldn't take it off the market.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. These guys, it was weird because even in the process of acquiring financing, because I was a young woman who ran a youth sports business in a unique sport, they just couldn't believe we could be successful. They were like, "This doesn't make sense. How are you going to actually acquire more players?" And I was like, "I don't know. How did I acquire more players 7 years ago when I started this?"
Right.
So it took us a lot of banks and a lot of no's from different banks to put it together. But the biggest kicker was at the very end. It was like right around March 1st. The guys asked me, the guys who were the 2 realtors selling the facility, asked me to come to the building, and we needed to meet. And I needed to bring somebody with to show that I was good for the money.
Wow.
And so I asked 2 of the dads of 2 of my players, to come to the facility and actually shake hands with the realtors, indicating like, "Oh, she's good for the money. Don't worry. Like, we'll make sure of it." It was just a really...
Yeah, it's pretty awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, in a weird way, degrading.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But if that's what it took, it was what it took. But in addition to that, so, you know, we shook on it, but like nothing's ever final until you get paperwork.
Right.
And so at the same time we shook on it, the grandmother who I sent the Christmas card to was actually in the process of passing away.
Oh, wow.
And so as a result, I was like, oh my God, we just went through this whole process for 3 months. And now, now the grandmother passes away, who was the only one saying like, she's going to get the building. That Christmas card, when I sent it at Christmas, went to the grandmother and it touched her heart.
Wow.
And because of that, she went back to the realtors and said, we're not selling to anybody else. We're waiting for this girl and she's going to get that building.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
Yeah.
And it's really, it was genius. And it really did fall into that young woman, never going to make it in this business with field hockey. We have tire companies and all kinds of other opportunities we can put into the building. Why on earth should we let this young woman have this property that we know she can't be successful? And you prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And amazingly, the 85-year-old grandmother believed in you and believed that it was the right thing for her to do. And now the Texas Pride has a home.
We are absurdly lucky to have this building. Like, it saved our business. Like, without this building, I'm not sure we'd still be here today.